Welcome back to Online Darts, everyone. It's that time again. It's been a while since we caught up with mates because there's been plenty going on in the darting world, buddy.
Yeah, it's been I think it was just pre-UK Open we had our last little chat. Yeah, lots has happened since then to chew the fat over. It's been great to see the players back, great to see the crowds back, and it's all good.
Darts as well, it's producing winners again, shall we say. Danny Noppert, a surprise winner of the UK Open, but that's the love of the FA Cup of Darts, that things like that happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've had it over the years a couple of times. I mean, you couldn't really call Nathan Asinall too much of a shock considering, the quality of player. But yeah, we usually see one come out of the pack that will go deep and pull off a few surprises. Barry Lynn being one of them that always springs to mind. But of course, the most memorable one probably Rob Cross, who really sort of put his marker down in that tournament. But yeah, it was a bit mixed emotions with the ending. I mean, What a great thing for Danny Noppert to win his first PDC major, and to do it without playing anywhere near his best. We know he can play a lot better, but what a lot of people forget is the nature of that tournament, playing those 3 long format games on the one day, getting yourself up, coming back down, getting back up, coming back down, and then the pressure of playing in a major and trying to pick up that first trophy. They all culminate in what can be, more often than not, when we see 2 pretty levelish type players, it don't often produce the greatest final. In terms of drama, it was fabulous. In terms of quality, we know they're both way better, but that's what pressure does to you.
Michael Smith losing in the final again, and we could see that one hurt, he said, for a couple of days, but it shows the mental strength of Michael Smith now, that he's like, got over 30 years, I will win one. Yeah,
of course he will. I mean, we've been saying it. We've been saying how impressed we've been with his approach towards the sport for the last 12, 18 months. He's knuckled right down in that department. Listen, you can't really question in terms of when he's at his absolute best. It's like just spooning silk, isn't it? I mean, that throw is wonderful. You don't break 180 records and make multiple major finals if you haven't got ability. We can go over it and over and over. It is what it is. And sometimes in sport it's just not meant to be, and at the moment, for whatever reason, it's not meant to be. We on reflection, we spoke about it. So, well, will he ever get a better chance and play someone who averages, just shy of 85? But sport's all about timing, and every time Michael made a mistake or there was that type of leg, Danny was there and just cleaned up, and lucky for him, unlucky for Michael. No one's died. I certainly wouldn't mind being a title or 2 behind Michael Smith, or even a pound or 2 behind him. You know what I mean? He's already had a great career. Was he 31?
Yeah,
baby in terms of darts. He's looking after himself a lot more. He's more conscious that to have longevity, he's got to start addressing certain things, which he says he's doing. And good luck to him. Listen, he's already had a fabulous career. There aren't too many players outside those that have won majors that wouldn't swap their career for what Michael Smith's achieved already and what he's earned. And he's still got, as he says, look at Peter Wright, an example, we keep using it, won his first world title at 49. He got 18 years to get one.
Well, Michael made an interesting point in the media we did with him after the Premier League. He said, look, I've won just over 3 million career earnings. on that pro rata, with the rest of the career, I can put another 4 million on that, and I haven't won anything. He went...
Listen, he's got a beautiful family, a couple of lovely kids. He lives in a lovely house. He absolutely adores the sport. I first met Michael when he was around about 15 or 16. You could see the talent there. Let's go forward 15 years later. Won loads of Euro tours. He's won in front of big crowds. He's won in front of the cameras. He's made major finals. He's living the dream. Listen, it'd be easy to call him all the names in the world, but I know it's pointless, and it just doesn't get anybody anywhere. It is what it is. You could have said it about Gary for a while until he eventually got over the line, and then they were back to back. We were saying it about Peter Wright. Will it ever happen? The 1 year Michael van Gerwen pulled out of the UK Open, he pops up and wins it. The rest is history. There's been loads of players over the years that have stumbled and gone close and it not happened for, and there's been a few that it's taken a little bit longer, but listen, he's having a great time. He's what is he in the world now? Four now?
4, yeah.
Yeah. After a certain Finnish star player managed to
We'll come on to that shortly, don't worry.
but yeah, listen, what a great achievement anyway. You know, making the top 32 in the world's a great achievement. Making the top 16 is unbelievable. Making the top 10, he's a Premier League player, he's a major finalist, he's won on TV before, he's won Euro Tours, he's won Pro Tours, he's hit 9 darters, and he's made 3 million quid. Who's the mug here?
Interesting one, topical one. Just off this week at the Premier League, it got a little bit saucy.
What you want? Yeah, oh yeah.
Shall we say?
I thought you were on about winding Gary up again.
We'll come on to that one as well, Scott. There's a lot to talk about. Interested to your thoughts on Peter Wright's comments as he's...
Horrible, isn't it?
Not a fan?
No, I got a lot of time for Peter. I really like him. I actually admire him. I've known Peter since mid-90s when he first made his debut at Lakeside. And he wore quite an interesting pair of shoes. I think it was around Crocodile Dundee time. I used to call him Crocodile Shoes because I think that's what they were made of. They certainly look like it. For all you animal lovers out there, they probably weren't real. I just don't see what he gains from it. There's banter and there's banter. Fine if he wants to have that kind of banter, then you got to expect it back. But then don't get salty when it backfires, because I just from a fellow pro to another pro. It'd be different if I'm trying to think of an example that could sort of justify it, but yeah, just unnecessary, especially when it's so close to the UK Open, where, as we've just discussed, he lost in a final. To turn around and say within earshot of Michael, "Don't worry, Gary, you'll be all right. He can't win finals." That surprises me coming from Peter. I mean, he does have a bit of banter and he does have a sense of humour, but what context it was said in? Have you spoke to Peter about it?
Not given a chance yet,
no.
But
it'd be interesting.
You saw by Michael's reaction, he was fuming.
Yeah, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. I mean, it's one of those things that Michael, I'm not sure if he had the opportunity or the time to address it straight away. It's horrible, isn't it, that? I love a bit of banter, as you know. We've done enough exhibitions together. There's banter flying all over. They give me absolutely stick.
Of course, yeah.
And I take it. Sometimes you go, "Ooh, that's a little bit close to the bone," but then you remember it's just all banter. But it wasn't very nice. Not a fan. And it's just I just don't get it from Peter. He sort of experienced the booze after the Adrian Lewis thing, and he didn't like that. Well, we live in this world now where you can't say anything without anybody finding out about it, and of course the fans will find out about it. And Michael's got a lot of fans, and genuine dart fans have a lot of sympathy with him for making another final. So it was like rubbing salt into the wound. But I know Peter, and that's not particularly like him to be like that. Really, it's just not in his DNA.
Well, like I say, we'd never known about it. Michael bought it up and bought it.
Yeah, so he's obviously.
Oh yeah, he was livid.
Yeah, he was obviously hurt a little bit by it, and I can understand why. If it was in a year's time, and you were in that situation where, it was just something different. I don't know, like an exhibition thing. People go, "Oh, the Premier League is an exhibition." Yeah, a very well paid one.
I'd like £10 a night for winning.
Yeah, I don't mind one of them a week. I'm not. There's not really too much to say until we sort of get Peter's response to it. Really, it'd be interesting.
They came from nowhere that we didn't know.
And it'd be
about
interesting to see how Michael deals with it. He's not that kind of guy anyway. That. As we've learned, he's matured so much. Though at the time he was probably a little pissed off about it, you'll just sort of go, "Well, let's see what happens next time we meet on the dartboard." Also
in Nottingham, certain Scotsman. Look, let's be pretty honest. His first round against Johnny, it was the dog and duck from the pair of them. But from that moment on, something clicked. Gary Anderson wins from nowhere, and he got a little bit salty as well afterwards.
Yeah. Well, I think with Gary, here we go. We both know Gary doesn't practice, right? He unless unless he has someone to practice that will actually motivate him and go up there and say, come on Gary, we're going out for a throw, he's almost impossible to get onto a dartboard. So as we've seen in tournaments and TV tournaments, if he gets past the first round and it's that kind of tournament, look out, because he will have a throw while he's there, because he has to. And of course, as we've seen in the Pro Tour today, once he gets in the mix and he starts to get moving, and then he's in between matches he'll have 10 minutes here and there. He's got an incredible ability where he can just he can pick it up where it left off. I mean, today's performance, his lowest average of the day was 98. I think his average for the day overall was something like 104. But there was like a 113 in there. There was a match with Simon Whitlock, who he was averaging 111, and Gary looked like he was dead and buried. And one mistake from Whitlock, game over. But that's why years ago, if you asked the sort of players in my era who was the best player I've ever seen play darts outside of Phil Taylor, you'd take Gary Anderson, because he was just that good. He'd just turn up, and if he fancied it and it was his day and he got through, especially back in the day when there was 12, 1,500 players and it was best of 5, if he got through a few rounds, look out, he was going to be dangerous, because he'd just get up to speed really quickly. And I think he's just fed up with people that say what it is, from those that don't really play or understand the game, it almost seems impossible someone can be that good and not be that dedicated. But once you're playing Premier League, and then you're playing Pro Tour, and then you may be doing an exhibition, there's no time for practice, and you need some downtime. And of course, Gary's got a family and a business. He's got a life away from darts. So when he does get the time when he's home, he puts them down. And I think the whole pandemic thing, and then him missing out on playing Euro Tours, that set him back a bit. But I think as soon as someone riles him up, he thinks,
presses the buttons.
Yeah, he presses buttons. Look out! And we've seen it on Thursday night, and we've seen it all day today. It was unfortunate he didn't win the final. It was a great win for Dave Manetto, who found a spell in the middle there from the gods. But listen, Gary's always going to be like that. He'll go missing, and then, like I say, he pushes buttons, and he, out of spite, he thinks, all right, okay, well, you think that's it, and then he'll do that, and that's just down to how good he is, and he's always been like. I mean, this is a guy that picked up a set of darts, and I think hit 140 in his first throw or something. That he's just one of those very lucky, naturally gifted. And I love him for it. He's Gary's Gary. You get there's no in between with Gary. You get what you give him with Gary.
It was the action today more than anything. It looked beautiful. Silky, like the best in 3 years I'd seen the action.
I'd have to look a little bit deeper into that, but it looked silky. But again, he's playing the Premier League every week, so he's starting to play a bit more. And then he Pro Tour today, and then dare I say, he probably would have had a little practice before this first round game today, and that's it. Once he just gets up to speed, he's like a big old steam train, isn't he? He's like a big old diesel train. Once he gets up to speed, that's why we call him the Flying Scotsman. Once he gets going, look out. Also,
return to form for a Dutchman that was washed up and finished. They all said that. they said. It was back-to-back Premier Leagues, the first one to do it in this new format. Then goes on and wins a Euro Tour. I think this week, he was complacent, if I'm being honest. I think at 3-1 up against Gezi, he switches off. He thinks the wrist injury, Gezi won't fire back. I think complacency did in this week. But overall... Yeah, good performance from Gezi. He didn't... It wasn't... Gezi was in and amongst it in that game. He didn't play very well in the following game. But it's like he's going to get up for that game against MVG. That's a big rivalry right now, and again, Michael coming out and saying that they all know I'm the best player in the world. You're not, mate. You're not. You're just not. Our game gives us one of the best things in the world. It takes away opinion. You don't have to have an opinion. Is he one of the best players in the world? Absolutely. But until he starts winning majors, certainly with more regularity than he's done in the last 18 months, and is ranked number 1 in the world, even though that can be a little bit deceiving sometimes, but
he's not the best player in the world. He's just not. We had this argument about Gary Anderson when he wasn't in. I don't even think he was in the top 5. But for a period, was he the best player in the world? Yeah. Is MVG the best player in the world right now? He's in amongst it, and he's in the top 4 or 5.
You could argue it right now. Like, I'm not saying he is, but you could argue it. But we know the world.
Has he produced performances like Gary Anderson produced today in a run of matches like that? When was the last time he's done that? A long time. When we've seen them big 110s, them 108s, those real dominant, ruthless, relentless performances. He's still lacking that absolute belief, and as I've said before, the throw, and that comes from winning. And that throw at the moment is just continuing to catch him out. Don't get me wrong, like Gary Anderson, when it's right, you know. But you wouldn't, you know, one swallow don't make a summer. And although it was highly impressive, the back-to-backs, they faced match darts against Dimitri. Over the last year, 18 months, those darts have been going in on that night. And I will say, he has been absolutely seriously unlucky over the last 18 months. People have produced outstanding performances against him, and those one dart clutch finishes or one dart left in hand have been going in against him. But the game has moved forward massively, in my opinion, in the last 18 months, 2 years. And I think that's why I don't think he's as switched on. I think it means as much, but you know, that great Marvin Aguilar saying about, you know, getting up to do 6 a.m. road work in the cold and rain when you're led into bed wearing silk pajamas, you know, it's tough for him. And he's another one. His life's changed massively. He's got a couple of lovely kids. He's married, lives in a beautiful house, got plenty of money. To be as dominant as he was and as great as he was for that period, you have to be 100% committed. The nature of our sport now, if you're 90, you get found out. You do get found out. And I think it's a mixture of all of that. I think the closing of the hand has caused him problems. He's somehow sort of adapted, and when the timing's right and he's not loaded with tons of pressure, it works perfectly. But long way to go. Listen, he's one of the greatest that have ever played the game and achieved 1 billion times more than I ever will. But I don't have. I try to avoid being opinionated. I just crunch numbers. I look at numbers, and they tell me all I need to know. Is he one of the greatest ever? Well, that goes without question. You know, he's in the top 2, isn't he?
Exclusive club, that top 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'd probably just about make the top 200. But I don't. You know, I admire all these guys. They're doing stuff on a dartboard that us mere mortals can only dream of. But the numbers for me give me everything I need to know, and he's just not. Well, the fact that his average is still hovering around 100 for the season is remarkable. But that says more about everybody else and not about him. But those big. I was doing the live league the other night, and I was looking at the James Richardson popped in a 111 average. I know it's only short format, and I was just looking at those big averages and how many times he features in, and especially that one against the 7-1 against Michael Smith, 2016, which for me was prime years for, or coming into the prime years of MVG. That 1-2-3 that he had was over 8 legs, won 7-1, and if he did double 18, I think it could have been 1-3-6. Yeah. And it just doesn't seem that that's even feasible. And all right, the 1-3-6 obviously was something out of this world, but you look at those averages around that time. There's lots where he's 111, 117, 116, 114, 113. You know, they were happening with way more regularity than they are now. And combine that with everybody else getting there's just more great players around nowadays.
One thing that's creeping into darts, injuries. There's That's a lot for the sport, that it is a sport and players are picking up more and more injuries. We've seen Gezzy's hand injury, Peter Wright with back gallstones, Nathan Aspinall, which I'll touch on as a separate thing in a minute, because that sounds quite worrying, the statement his management company released. But injuries are becoming more and more a part of darts right now.
Well, we did an interview, I think it was in Germany or some of that pre-pandemic.
So it's about welfare.
And we spent an hour
talking about player welfare.
A sit down, their food, their diet, their sleep, their schedule, getting in, they're in that position now where they can afford to have a personal trainer that won't try and turn them into someone like Gezzy, but will certainly make them healthier. Health is wealth. Health is wealth. You know, if you don't look after it on the way, then it'll come back and bite you, and we're going to, because of their schedule, you know, don't worry about what you all just see on TV or on stream or Pro Tours, or a lot of them do a lot of exhibitions. A lot of the players make up a lot of their money by doing shows and personal appearances and these big head-to-head shows, and it all takes out of you. And we know the lifestyle of a dart player is not the healthiest, so you have to just find that balance, you're not going to keep getting away with it. You know, at some point something will have to change. Well, if you look at the guys that tend to look after themselves a little bit better, and though Taylor was a big fella, there's no taking it away, and probably, but he was constantly trying to be healthier throughout. 75% of his career was on this type of diet, or that type of diet, or he had a couple of dogs. He was out walking all the time. You never seen him in a final going running out of steam, did you?
No, not at all.
You know, you think back of all them UK Open finals, and you know all those events where you got to play 3 matches on the day, and the Pro Tours, and the Euro Tours, or the similar type of event. He was match fit. Carried a bit too much timber, and he'd be the first to admit that. But he was as healthy as he could be, which is why he was still phenomenal into his late 50s. You look at someone like Luke Humphries, addressed it when he found it was becoming a problem, addressed it straight away, real lean now, looks fresh as a daisy, and the benefits of that will come, and we've seen the benefits of that over the last year or so. Danny Nopper, always in the gym, always doing something, not lifting bloody weights or anything like that, but a lot of stretching, a lot of yoga, a lot of swimming, a lot of running, you know, all low impact stuff, which not going to impact on the arm or cause any injuries or any strains, but you know, it's all about building a foundation, and a lot of players have got to follow suit. You know, a lot of players are slowly but surely. You know, I'm working with probably 4 or 5 now that are like, right, what, you know, especially since we've come back off the pandemic, right, what should I be eating? Because a lot of people put on a lot of weight in the pandemic because, boredom. There's nothing else to do. People just sat around and in
a relationship with the fridge.
Yeah, and drinking too much because, you know, nobody was, you know, you're off work or whatever. Yeah. And it was tough times, but slowly but surely, I think we will make a change, and the PDPA do lots of really good things, and I know they're massively onto that. They're massively onto players' health and welfare, whether it be mentally or physically, and hopefully that continues and maybe pushes a little bit more.
The Nathan Aspinall injury, he's come out, he was misdiagnosed, it wasn't tendonitis as they thought. Basically the ligaments and tendon is throwing hand are pretty much severed. Mm-hmm. I'm paraphrasing here, but it says we're going to manage it for as long as we can, but to fix it, it pretty much needs surgery. Yeah. And 9 months is the recommended recovery time. Look, if you're a fast healer, you may be able to shake 6-7 weeks off of that if you look after it properly and everything like that. But are you concerned that if he has the op, when you're stitching tendons and ligaments back together, will it ever be the same? And 2, that recovery period that you need, when's the best time to have it?
Yeah, I mean, you would think if it's severed, will that then be shortened? Will that affect his range of motion? one thing for sure, he's got great people behind him, and what's best for Nathan. But yeah, it is a worry. You know, in a way, when we discussed it before, I said, well, you know, with rest, tennis elbow will go, but that kind of injury. And it's a shame because he had a lot of time off where maybe he could have picked that window to get it done. Again, this is a place where the professional players associations should have something in place to say, look, financially, of course, you know, some of the players will take on mortgages and everything else and have financial commitments. Right, you have to take out some kind of insurance policy maybe that the players paid into. So when you get this kind of occasion pop up, they can draw on that insurance policy and say, right, I need 9 months out. The PDC should say, right, we'll hold your ranking or do something with your ranking, allow them to go away. I think they've done it, and they do it in other sports, don't they?
I'm sure doing golf and tennis. I'm pretty sure that there's an injury, especially when the ladies, if they fall pregnant or something like that, and there's like a, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but I'm pretty sure there is something.
I hope he's not pregnant. I thought that would be incredible. You'd make some money out of that. So that's something that, again, you know, until these situations arise, you don't worry about. Sometimes you look for solutions to problems that aren't there. But I think as we just said, with the player's schedule and everything else, maybe it'd be a great opportunity to introduce some kind of players' insurance scheme that works alongside the PDC, so they can financially, you know, if you said to Nathan, right, you can't throw for 9 months, where does his money come from? It's not like he can go and do exhibitions because he can't play.
He can't throw, yeah.
He can't throw. And then we need to protect his rankings because it's not, you know, it's not a self-inflicted problem. It's not like he's got banned or anything like that. It's literally, he needs an operation, and rather than have him having to rush back, he can actually do it properly and then resume his career in full health and crack on. So yeah, maybe that's something. You know, I don't have any involvement. I've got a great relationship with Alan. We're always talking about ideas, or could you do this, or what do you think about this? So maybe that's something that needs to be looked at, because you know, it's not just Nathan now. You got Peter Wright, our world champion. You know, what happens if he has to have 6 months out? You know, it's, you know, although he's in a totally financially different position to Nathan, but there'd be some sliding scale way of looking at it, I'm sure.
Lakeside on the horizon. It's only 2 weeks away now, but the latest tickets have been released. I know that you were hopeful that they'd pick up. Only 17% with 2 weeks to go. How concerned are you now? Yes,
I don't know. Again, in hindsight, I think we had this discussion before. For me, it should have been top 16 ladies, top 32 men, no afternoon sessions. Follow the format of the match play. Have your double sessions on the weekends, and then just leave it at night sessions, because you know, we've even seen in Europe PDC struggle on a Thursday afternoon with events. It's just, and especially the way things are now money-wise, and everybody's worried about, you know, bills and everything, and what's going on with fuel prices. Of course, that all gets handed down in terms of hotel prices and travel and everything else. I just think the expectation was beyond what possibly could have been delivered at the beginning. And of course, it's not the WDF's fault in terms of ticket prices.
It's purely Bob Potter's greed.
Yeah. I've never known anybody want to sponsor an event and get all their money back. No, I just, you know, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And he's like a really successful businessman that is worth tens of millions of pounds. Maybe his formula is right and everybody else is wrong. But I just desperately feel sorry for everybody involved. I think the sales on the weekends are okay. Am I worried it's going to happen? Will Bob Potter let the event go and lose 200 grand? I don't think so. He might as well. If he was going to let that go, why haven't they reduced the ticket prices? I really don't know. I got lots of people who are involved in it. Lots of friends, players, officials. I really wanted it. I'd done everything in my capability in terms of, well, I would like, the only thing you see me on is Facebook, so I
pushing tickets.
Yeah, I try everything I can. I'm always mentioning it on the live league. I even mention it when I'm on ITV. I really.
Just picking this back up as the timeline run out. Talking about obviously getting rid of the afternoon sessions and everything like that, mate, because it just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, it's always going to be a hard sell. It's totally different with the World Championships, of course, because people are off over Christmas, and it's a real special occasion, isn't it? And they've got a platform there. They know their sales, they know their demographic, they know if it works. I don't do it at the Slam, do we, during the week? Only night sessions. World Match Play, only night sessions. Grand Prix. The weekend's a totally different thing, but Monday through Friday, it's commercially not viable when it's already going to be a tough sell. And that's why the PDC don't do it. They do it, but I know they do it in some of the European events, the Euro tours, but they're always a tough sell.
Yeah, and they do it because they have to, because of the scheduling. They wouldn't have to get a choice.
They have to get the games out, effectively the prelims.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be getting Gessie Price against Michael Van Gerwen on a Thursday afternoon.
Are you concerned for Lakeside right now? The fact that this isn't the WDF's fault, but Bob Potter has pulled it once and tried to blame COVID because of poor ticket sales. Does he lose a fortune?
Well, yeah, I don't believe it was pulled for COVID. I just think he looked at the ticket sales, done the numbers, and it was convenient to delay it, which he should have done anyway. It shouldn't have been on when it was meant to have been on. But what baffles me, he knew that the ticket sales were going to be tough. Yet in the meantime, when he's had an extra 2 months, maybe 3, 3 months, he could have looked at the structure of pricing and adjusted accordingly. Because if he's pulled it once in fear of losing 200 grand, what is he now not going to? I really hope not, for the players' sake, for the WDF's sake, for everybody involved commercially, physically. I hope it happens, but my feeling is it won't. I don't think he would be prepared to lose. If he's prepared to lose the money, why not half the ticket sale? Why not half the ticket prices and increase sales?
Also interesting, Fallon was in, then she was out due to her own personal circumstances, personal reasons behind it, which is completely, that if she's not right for whatever reason, then that's fair enough.
Is it her or?
All it was due to personal circumstances, but we don't know anything more than.
Okay, I mean she received a horrendous amount of abuse on the back of getting the place in it, because obviously Anastasia was withdrawn. Is that the word they use?
Just on the Anastasia thing, I know you know Tony and Anna really well.
Very well.
Was she given the opportunity to play under a neutral flag, like they have been in other sports?
Not that I know of, but I don't know a lot about it, right? But surely the approach should be ask a player's opinion. I mean, she's lived in this country for as long as I can remember, right? Ask her what her political stance is. You can't tarn everybody with one brush. That's like saying, well, I'm not even going to go there because I get killed. But you can all of a sudden, just because someone's from a country that they all think the same, we could say that about places in the Middle East, couldn't we? But we don't, because we give people the opportunity to prove different. And sport and politics and everything else shouldn't, aren't we learn anything from all that back in the Olympics, back in the day with Muhammad Ali and all that? We haven't learned. We didn't learn anything from the pandemic, but we're meant to be more intelligent and have more smart people and computers and stuff that works things out for us. But it's almost like common sense just isn't very common anymore. And obviously it's an absolute tragic thing that's going on out there. It's horrendous, and it's not even a war. It's just is just a man bullying a nation and killing innocent people. That, I mean, I don't get how it got past day one.
No, I agree with you. No, again, no Anna from darts and stuff like that, absolutely lovely.
Absolutely adore it.
But would darts have looked worse as a sport if they'd have let Russian athletes compete when every other sport is banning them as well? I'm not saying I agree with the ban,
no,
but I'm just saying...
Just because everyone else is doing something, don't make it right.
But do darts look... Would they have looked worse when...
You know, you're talking... Listen, there's no... Unless you've got a particular political stance
I agree with you,
that supports what he's doing, then you're as mental as he is. And you shouldn't be in any sport in the first place, because surely you'd be found out along the way if you were that way inclined. But yeah, I don't know. Sport and politics, leave it. You know, they're two separate things. Unless you're a supporter of a tyrant and a murderer, and then you've got no place in society, have you, really?
Yeah. Again,
and never mind on a dartboard or anything else, and I can assure you that Anna's in no way associated.
The reason I say that is I believe that Boris Koltsov is going to come back and play PDC darts, but under a neutral flag.
Yeah.
Again, the PDC aren't letting him compete under a Russian flag.
Well, he probably wouldn't want to compete under a Russian flag or represent what Russia stands for right now. And 99% of the people out there, I presume, don't want what's happening out there. You know, the man's a lunatic. It's, you know, when you start bombing hospitals and schools, I mean, you know, I just think it's sport fails off into absolute insignificance in situations like that. But it's just sad for Anna, and and sad for obviously the people who are losing their lives pointlessly over greed.
PDC Women's Series happened as well.
Brilliant, wasn't it?
Record numbers
on the same weekend as the Isle of Man.
I was about to say that the fact that the Isle of Man still went on as well, but record numbers for the PDC Women's Series, heading in the right direction. Yeah,
absolutely, and I thought the overall standard has gone up already. You could see a difference. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was there was a couple of stinkers in there, but we want to encourage more people to play, and they've got to start from somewhere. You know, no one picks up a dart and is as good as Lisa Ashton. You know, I wish I was as good as her now. I'm not. I mean, she's unbelievable. And Bo Greaves out in the Isle of Man, absolutely tremendous, winning the three ladies events out there, and in a 99 average, a 105 average. Was she 18 years of age, and just coming back off a little bit of a problem with the yips and everything else. Outstanding. I watched it all. I watched all the finals on finals day from the Isle of Man, and I was all over the women's series.
In the background as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, you do the
message in the chat room.
Yeah, you do the watch along, and I've got one on one screen, one on another. Listen, I'm chuffed a bit for the ladies. It's the more people. What they got to remember: the more people that support it, the more chance it has of surviving, and the more chance it has of working. But Lisa was just that. She was mustard. I think Fallon was a bit rusty early doors. Found her feet.
Better on day two, but undercooked on day one.
Yeah, for sure. Well, she's not played any darts at all, so and she's another one that tries to balance, being a single mum and everything else, and trying to be a professional sportsman. It's not easy. I was disappointed with the abuse she received, and that's probably why she pulled out of Lakeside, I presume, because it's not her fault. But the abuse, the online stuff, disgusting.
It's getting worse in general.
Yeah, it's getting worse. The government worry about all this, be kind stuff and everything else, but they'll allow these platforms where people can be anonymous and just abuse people without any repercussions. Well, I'm afraid life ain't like that. And they need to put a stop to it. We've seen too many tragedies and too many suicides over the years, and it's at what point do they go, right, hang on a minute, it wouldn't take a lot. Wouldn't take a lot. Don't get that kind of abuse on Facebook, because there's no point being on Facebook and pretending to be somebody else. Because Facebook is a platform where you catch up with old school friends and friends you've lost touch with and everything else. So there's no point in pretending to be somewhere else on there, which is why the abuse don't happen. But that's, that's why there isn't any shit written on toilet doors anymore. Someone else, there's another platform for people to do that kind of stuff now, and it's Twitter.
Looking ahead, the rest of the calendar, it's shaping up rather nicely, and already
exciting.
I can see that little tower in Blackpool on the horizon already, that all eyes are on the match.
Yeah, and of course it's the top 16 in the world, the next 16 in the Pros Order of Merit, so you end up getting the cream at Blackpool. My favourite tournament, absolutely love it, love everything about it, love the Winter Gardens, love the fact that it pretty much conjures up the form players and the top 16 in the world. Who's going to win it? I don't know. Put all the names in and pull one out and hope you get lucky, because we've gone from he might win it, he could win it, he might be an outsider, to
your guess is as good as mine.
Exactly. Could it be Joe Cullen? Could it be Michael Smith? Could it be Michael? Could it be Gary? Could it? You can just go on and on. Will it be Wright? Can Wright defend it? Dimitri looks like he's playing well. Damon Etta, Luke. I mean, the list is endless. Dimitri, this Josh Rock. He looks the absolute real deal. The nuts. Excited to see what he's going to do over the next few months. Yeah, the sport is just... I think we missed it so much when it was sort of being played behind closed doors and we couldn't really get involved. To seeing it all back now buzzing is just a great thing.
Well, then, before we wrap up, Adrian Lewis ranked 41 in the wild, doesn't quite sit right. We've all said he's too good, but that slip, there's no sign of it stopping. As an Adrian fan, are you now concerned?
As his pal, yeah. I'm not just a fan of his ability and in his gameplay. As a friend of his, yeah. I think he needs to restart. I'd like to see him get himself a bit healthier, look after himself a bit more, look a bit fresher. He's not an old man, you know what I mean? He's, I'm an old man. I shouldn't be able to run him ragged around the gym, and I would, and that shouldn't be the case. I'd like to just see him just start over, put him down for a month, get himself someone to do his meal plans for him. You've got lovely places now that you can ring up and they deliver healthy meals to your door, and all you've got to do is put them in the oven. You ain't got to do anything. They're all prepped, they're all weighed. Just start to become a little bit more active, start to look after. If he looked after himself, he'd feel better. Everything looks forced. And I'm sure mentally behind the scenes he must be panicking, and that ain't healthy. I worry about him. I absolutely love the guy to bits. Admired him for years. Wonderful dart player, and he should be somewhere in his prime years right now. And I'm just watching him free fall, and it's horrible because I don't know, he's had his things on TV and everything else. He's a gentle giant, one of the nicest guys, generous, honest to the core. He's just a great guy, and one of the best I've ever seen. I've seen him do stuff on a dartboard that has made me just sort of go, what? Yeah, mind blowing. The guy is just, and it's sad. And it is sad. It's sad to see, and it all stems off some behind the scenes stuff as well, some personal stuff, not personal as in relationship or anything like that, other stuff, and it seems to have hit him hard because he just doesn't look like he's got that. I don't know, that instinct to, it's like fight or flight. And he's just got to make changes, in my opinion. Could be a mile off, but I look at him and what he looked like at his best. How fresh he looked and how up for it he was, and that aggression, And at the moment, it's more relief than aggression. And I just think he needs to look after himself a little bit more. I worry about it.
Seniors as well, before we go, in full swing at the moment. The response has been unreal, and Lakeside on the horizon, then to Hull, the bonus arena.
Yeah, I watched it today. I watched it, via Dark Connect.
Some good bits.
Yeah, there was some. Richie Howson at times was playing well. Shane Burgess, he played brilliant.
Against a quarter final.
Yeah, Monkey playing well. Turner, he played very well. Johnson.
Andy Hamilton for the first time as well.
Andy Hamilton there. Darryl Fitton. There was some good. I was watching early on thinking, there ain't a lot here that bothered me, and then it really started. You could see everybody getting into the swing of things. There was a few averages in the 90s, but Richie Howson, different level today.
Wow.
Yeah, he's going to cause me a few issues, I think, over the coming years. He was playing some serious stuff today. After 3 legs, I think in the semi, it was either semi or the final. He was averaging 128 or something. I mean, that's some blistering stuff. I think he opened with back-to-back 12s in that final, so he can play a bit. There's a few in there that once they go back into the swing of things and start playing more, and of course there'll be more and more events coming down the line. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? It's not going to be like watching the Premier League, but nobody ever said it was going to be. But it's exciting, it's fun, it's close, it's competitive, and everybody there will want to win.
Nice, absolute pleasure catching up with you as always, mate. And we'll see you very, very soon.